What's good? What's good? You are tuning in to the Notion podcast. Yo, I'm going to keep it a bean with y'all. This experience with this live stuff is so frustrating. I'm going to be so real with you. It is so frustrating. But I do have to explain to you guys how grateful I am that you guys are being patient with me. I've been starting the streams late, and I've been trying to find a way where I can start these streams on time and that I can. Here's my issue. I'm trying to I'm trying to start on time, right? And, I'll get everything going. I'll start getting my test runs. And then I keep running into these problems. But you know why I keep running into these problems? Because I need to step my game up. So I'm calling myself out right now. I need to step my game up. I definitely apologize for the drama. Okay? I didn't, that's not what my intent was. So, I'm just gonna wait. I gotta wait a minute. Let everybody start doing their thing and getting into the live, getting into the chats. I'm gonna be definitely checking out the chats and things of that nature. But I am very appreciative of you guys tapping in with me. But I definitely want to cover some stuff. So I'm gonna get to it. But like I said, I want to take my time and get everybody involved with the chat and, get it cracking. I think this is good commentary that I'm going to be covering. And let's make no mistake, okay? I'm going to try to be as fair as possible with my synopsis. I'm not going to be typical like everyone else and just start trying to be controversial. I'm not trying to do this for clicks. I actually have, what's the word I'm looking for? I actually have a fair viewpoint. I try not to be biased. I try to put myself in different scenarios where I can understand from the other side of a debate or a conversation. But I definitely want to talk about a lot. If you had gotten a chance to look at the description of the video and everything that I'm going to be covering, please check it out. Please definitely check it out. It's going to be something that'll kind of give you a clear understanding of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But as far as this live is going, like, I got a lot to say. I do. And like I said, for those that tapped in, I really do appreciate you guys coming in. Don't be shy about please don't be shy about leaving your comments in the comment section, in the chat, because this is going to get interesting. It's going to get very interesting. Basically, the topics that I'll be covering today, tonight, whatever time zone you're in, I'm going to be covering the interview that Dr. Cheyenne Bryant did with Paul Pierce. I forget the sister's name, and please forgive me if you come across this. I'm trying to remember so many different names, but it's the Truth After Dark podcast. And I just wanted to react to a couple things. I've seen people react in a different way towards Dr. Bryant, and I will say she has some contradictions at times, but I don't think she's 100% wrong. I don't really like to engage with certain content where people believe that somebody is just 100% wrong because you may not like their narrative, what they believe in, what their stance is on certain things. So I want to make sure that, I give my fair share and synopsis on these different conversations. So I'm not going to keep taking too long. I'm gonna definitely get into the topics. I'm just trying to allow people time to get into the chat, so we can get this party jumping for real. like I said, I definitely appreciate you guys getting in here. It's gonna get interesting. It's definitely it's definitely gonna get interesting because I've had I often have a lot to say about certain content and things that I've been wanting to stream about that I want the guys to stream about too. So that's another reason why I'm doing these little streams, because these streams can be a whole lot longer. But the reason why I'm doing this too is because it won't just be me. The fellas will be involved too. But I want to make sure I work out all of the kinks and all of the issues. So if I gotta be the sacrificial lamb for this conversation, then I'll do it. I'm not mad at it. I see you guys coming into the chat. I appreciate you. I see you guys coming into the live stream. I appreciate you. I'm definitely gonna have a good conversation about some of the stuff that I want to review. And again, do not be shy at all about sharing your viewpoint in the chat and in the comment section. Please. I want to hear what you have to say. I definitely want you to try to keep up. I know if people got stuff that they're doing, while they're listening to streams and things of that nature. But please don't be shy at all about, even if you disagree with me, I'm not going to get mad. I'm not right about everything, and I don't expect everybody to see the world and see scenarios how I see it. But for y'all that's coming in, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah, man. So, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Again, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. For those that don't know who Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is, she kind of started making more of a name for herself on social media when she was calling out Cam Newton and she was calling out Nick Cannon about creating a whole bunch of broken homes. All right. And she was kind of cooking. She was kind of cooking those fellas. I'm not even gonna lie. She was getting at them. I had some disagreements with how she would only place the blame on those men for creating broken homes, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But let's get to this reaction, because I see you guys in here. Thanks for pulling up. Thanks for pulling up to the Notion Podcast Live. All right, let's get into this reaction video. This podcast with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I got some things I got to say about this, so let's get to it.
Let me ask you this. Are you okay with a man who already has children? No. Okay, why not? Deal breaker for you? Why
because
not?
I want my own family.
And you feel like you cannot have that with a man who already has children?
That is a form of polyamory.
Really? Explain that, please.
Okay. Polyamory doesn't have to do with us all living in a household together and we're all doing the do. Polyamory is outside relationships that I'm okay with. So if I'm in a relationship with Paul, I have to be okay with him having a relationship with the mothers of his children.
Yeah.
I would hope he does,
Do you agree with that? I mean, I've never heard the definition of polyamory being that, but for you guys that don't mind writing in the chat, do you agree with Dr. Bryant when she says that when you deal with somebody that has kids, that's a form of polyamory? Let me know what you think about that.
Yeah.
Right? So although he's not sleeping with them, or we would want to think he's not, let's just take him as being a good man. He's just co-parenting and doing it the right way. Well, when Christmas or holidays come around, or a birthday party or a wedding or graduation, Paul has every right to spend time with his kids. And if the mother is there, I mean, they procreated together. It's not a crime for her to be in the same room as him. That's what co-parenting is, healthy co-parenting is. If I agree to that, I am now, or I should be, attempting to be healthy with these women, right? If I'm going to love him, I love Paul's kids. So now I'm in a polyamory relationship that I'm agreeing to be in, because although you're not sleeping with this woman, we all are a family. Whether you want to think of it that way or not. Because if I love this man...
Part-time.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree that it's polyamory. I think that obviously if you decide to blend families, that, there is reasons why that makes sense. But her saying that is, please, somebody look up the definition. Throw the definition of polyamory in the chat and see if that's aligned with what Dr. Bryant's saying. For those that are getting into the chat a little bit later, she's basically saying to these hosts that she wouldn't date anybody with kids because that's a form of polyamory. It's not always about, being in a intimate relationship, but having to deal with each other is a form of polyamory. I've never heard of that before. She is considered a professional, so maybe we're all learning something new today or tonight. But basically, that's her stance on that. So let's keep going.
Part-time, full-time.
Because
polyamory can be part-time, full-time. We can polyamory from 2 to 5 p.m. It don't matter what the time frame is.
Damn.
It is what it is. So I am not willing to agree to be in a polyamorous relationship because I am a faithful woman.
Younger than her.
Now, remember, she said that she would not want to be with anybody with kids because she doesn't have kids yet, because that's a form of polyamory. Like I said, I've never heard of that one before.
That changes the whole dynamic.
Well, if he's my age with no kids, he's still...
Most men is a red flag your age with no kids.
Someone said that, right? Like,
okay. I don't know who created the narrative on being a certain age. I know a lot of women get a lot of flack for being a certain age with no kids. And now he's saying the same thing for men. I don't think that's necessarily true, because you have a lot of people that start late in the game for whatever reason that they do. I wouldn't necessarily call it a red flag. To me, a red flag for people is like somebody that has multiple engagements. If there's a guy that's been engaged 3 or 4 times, or there's a woman that's been engaged 3 or 4 times, to me, that would be more of a red flag than somebody that's a late bloomer as far as in getting married and have kids, especially people that have a college career and things of that nature. So I don't really agree with Paul Pierce on that one.
I was dating a man who was 41 and he had no children. Really great guy. And my sister was like, he's a red flag because he has no children at that age. And I said, is he a red flag or is he smart? Because I'm confused. Is he smart enough not to procreate with someone that is not really his match or he's in alignment with? Because if he's single now, he probably would have been single with them kids too, still trying to date.
See, I agree with what she's saying. There's a good point there. And the reason why I agree with her point as far as in this whole age thing is because this is the position that a lot of people are in society, especially with women. Women have a biological time clock. We all know that. They have goals and dreams and things that they want to do, right? But my other issue is when people say that, oh, if you have kids too late at this age, it's a red flag, right? But here's the weird part. The weird part is if you have kids and you haven't been married, then that's a red flag too, right? So if you have kids out of wedlock, it's a red flag. If you're single with no kids, it's a red flag. Who's making the rules on this? Who's making the rules on this? But I digress. We're going to keep going.
So I heard that before, and I was very curious to that because I'm like, he was a really good guy. It just didn't work out. But I was like, I don't see it necessarily as a red flag because it might be a smarter move because I know too many men that are 41, 42 with children and they don't mess with the children, the mother of their children, or if they do and do whatever on the side, okay. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on that.
So from my personal experience, right, not from like clinical speaking or a psychology expert, men with no kids of age, like y'all are saying, happen to be selfish. There's nothing they've had to cover their whole life. There's nothing outside themselves they've had to think about or consider.
So
I disagree with that. I mean, she's a therapist, but I do have friends of mine that are older. I have friends of mine that are in their early 40s or about to be 40, right? And they still want kids. And the individuals that I'm thinking off rip, right? They have their stuff together. They're debt free. And we can't just simply say that just because they've been single for that long, that they've been selfish, they never had to take care of anything. I have a close homeboy of mine that had to bury both of his parents. They were sick. He was taking care of one. One passed away. He was taking care of the other. That one passed away. So we can't just jump to the conclusion and say that because somebody doesn't have kids by a certain age, they don't know what it's like to take care of anything or look out for anyone because you don't have a child. I mean, me personally, I have kids, but in my younger years, I was always helping my brother out with my niece and nephews. So I don't really agree with what she's saying about that. I mean, there are some special case scenarios where they don't have to do anything. People can travel, spend their money however they want, but we can't assume that people with no kids are selfish, because you got to remember there's women out here that would like to be mothers and probably can't. And they probably do other things to look out for people. So I disagree with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant on that one too.
Is that a red flag?
A selfish man?
Yeah.
I think so.
No,
That's what I
I
said.
definitely
Yeah.
think so.
That's what I said.
Yeah, definitely think so.
Right?
However, if you get a man of age who does have kids, you would hope that he is a very active father. Him being an active father also comes with him having to be selfish in order to be present with his kids.
Yes.
So there is an aspect that may be a healthy selfishness, where it's like, yo, I may want to eat, sleep, and shit you all day, but I gotta be a father. So there's gonna be a part of me that may look selfish because I gotta put these kids in a priority position somewhere,
For sure.
right? And wherever they go into those spaces, baby, you can't go.
And the kids are before the woman, you would say?
No. What happens is,
So I agree with her, but she's still kind of, it's interesting to me because it's like men with kids, they have to have a certain selfishness. I don't really look at it like you have to be selfish to take care of your kids. I would look at it as being more selfless, right? And so it's interesting to hear her say that, but then also say at in the same time that I wouldn't want to deal with somebody with kids because of it's a form of polyamory. So it's I don't know. It's kind of I don't know if it's word salad, but yeah, it's a little different. But let's get on to more of this interview and where they're going with it.
little boys end up resenting their mother because in a little boy's mind, yes they do. Yes they do.
Here, check this out. So, disclaimer, I took clips of this and I compiled it together. So I don't want you guys to think that they're just switching off in subjects, because some stuff was just word salad and all that other drama. So here she's basically talking about how, kids resent their moms or boys resent their moms. But let's see, we have a tendency to do that for different reasons. But let's see what her reason is. Even though she's a woman, let's see what her reason is on why some of us resented our mothers.
They end up resenting the mom. You know why? Because in the little boy's mind, if mom would have done right, daddy would have wanted to be here. The only time that a little boy...
It's not true. Let me stop right there. The reason why that is not true, my parents separated when I was in elementary school, right? They never divorced, but they did separate and they did move on separate lives, right? And I did not look at my mom and say that it was my mom's fault. I'll even throw myself under the bus. When they first separated, I was a little relieved because my dad kept me together. He kept me in line. And so I was like, shoot, the heat will be off my back. But you know what ended up happening when my father left the house? I got in more trouble. I got kicked out of school and all kinds of stuff. And you know what? I actually started to miss my dad. But not one time did I look at my mom and say that it was my mother's fault for my dad leaving, because I didn't even know all of the details on why my dad was moving out. I honestly didn't know why my dad moved out until I got much older and I realized what happened in the relationship. So that's not really accurate. There might be some cases where that's happened, but I don't see too many of us in our community that's just looking at it like, yo, I can't stand my mom because she ran my dad off. That's not even the narrative being spent in movies and in advertising and in music. But we'll keep going.
does not resent the mother is if he literally sees his father abusing his mother, and he can rationalize why his mom would leave his father. If a child cannot rationalize why you would leave his mother, he has to, they're kids, they have no insight, Paul. They got to blame somebody. And if they don't blame you or mom, guess what they blame? Themselves. Now we're really in a self-hate crisis. Now we have a little kid that grows up and they feel shame, because shame and guilt are different. Shame is I'm a bad person. Guilt is I did something wrong. So now we have a child that thinks I'm a bad person because...
I ain't gonna lie. I thought I was a free person because I didn't have to worry about my dad getting on me. Not once did I blame myself for my parents separating. Now, I do know that there's cases where parents are ignorant enough to blame their children for them separating. You know, it could come out of anger and a disagreement and things of that nature. But no, not. And you know what? To be real, some of my friends came up in the same scenario where their mother and father split when they were young or at some point, and we've had plenty of conversations about those things. And I haven't even heard any of my close homeboys say that they felt like they were the blame. And the other thing that's weird about making that statement is she's speaking from a only child perspective. A lot of us grew up with siblings. You know, we have siblings. So how do the kids all take a turn or have this idea that it's their fault? You know what I'm saying? Now, if she's speaking from an only child perspective, I get it. But a lot of us, I don't have too many friends of mine that don't have siblings. So I don't see how you would just automatically blame yourself like, oh, it's my fault that mom and dad are separating. Now, I don't know if it quite goes that way, but you know, maybe these are just based off her cases.
I wasn't good enough to keep mom and dad together. I wasn't good enough for my dad and mom to say, even if I stay for her or for him, we're going to keep this family together. So there's nothing I did that was good enough to make these two people who are supposed to love me and not drop me, not fumble this family. Kids end up in suicidal ideations over divorce. I have so many kids in my session. Teenager.
Ask the chat real quick, okay? For you guys that seen your parents separate, at any point did you feel like it was your fault and you were gonna harm yourself? I don't know if this is necessarily a cultural thing in the black community. I'm not saying it never happens or it's never happened. I'm definitely not saying that. The only thing I am saying is, or I'm actually asking, did it really get that far to where you're blaming yourself and now you're going to do something to yourself because your parents separated or because one parent stepped out on another parent? I don't know. I don't know about that one. Maybe this could be a different time, maybe in this generation with the youth of today's climate, but I don't remember ever feeling like that when my parents separated or my friends saying that they felt like that. So let's keep on rolling.
Adolescent boys who were 16,
Yeah.
who were like, I hate my father for cheating on my mom. I looked in my dad's phone, knew his password, and seen the text messages between him and this woman. And now,
why are teenage young men in their dad's phone? Usually teenagers have their own phone. Again, that sounds like a daughter, maybe. I could see a daughter getting upset and reacting like that, but I don't necessarily know about a son. I could see a son getting mad because maybe, kind of like Quincy on Love and Basketball, he got mad and hated his dad because he was raising him to be the man he wasn't being. I could see young men getting upset with their father with that, but this sounds like more of a daughter being brokenhearted and upset with her father because he's not the man that she thought he was. So I don't know. Maybe she got those two mixed up, but I don't see that. I didn't really have any energy towards my parents like that about that. So I don't know.
I'm suicidal, and I want to plan to do it in the kitchen so my dad could find me. You know why? So my dad could see the pain that I felt when he ruined our family.
You know what's crazy?
Paul, that is.
I think that needs to. If she has clients like that, I'm glad that they're seeking help because that's a lot. That's a lot to unpack, and that's a lot to strategically plan and think about for a teenager going through that kind of situation. I think it might be a little bit deeper than just mom and dad separating and breaking up, in my opinion. That's heavy. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's see what Paul Pierce has to say about it, though.
Deep.
Yeah, I understand that. That is super deep.
It is.
But like, it's this is the thing with kids. They're always gonna hear one side of the story when there's a divorce, right? Because they're gonna be in the house every day with the mom, and they can ask questions at any time, and the mom can say whatever. The dad is not there every day, and he can't explain his side because there's a side of the story and a dynamic in all of this to where the dad is always going to look, he like the dad always get looks at as the bad guy.
Yeah.
even though the dad didn't divorce, right? Which most
Dads are the bad guy also prior to leaving the household because dad is enforcer. Dad is the one that comes in and disciplines. So when you have somebody that's a disciplinary on top of the fact that they hurt mommy, they leaving the household, breaking the family up, it could be real easy to hate dad, and then you don't really start to understand dad fully until you get older. So there's some truth to that on top of the fact that you have one person telling the side of a two-sided story. So he's got a point.
what happens 90%.
Yeah.
A lot of the times.
Well, women
But they
file
never,
more than men. You're right.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. But the kids never know the other side of the story because the men don't tell the kids the other side.
No. You know why? It's to what you just said. Because the man ain't in the house to tell his story.
Yeah, so
Okay, so she's definitely right. He's definitely right. But I just have this feeling that she's coming from a direction of the father being penalized for not being in the house. When you start talking about separating and divorcing, especially here in California is a woman's state when it comes to divorce. There's nothing the father can do about that. When he's not in the house anymore and mom is still upset or until mom decides to move on, whatever she says about your father is the gospel until you either have a conversation with him, you get bold enough to start asking questions. But in this instance, it is one-sided because you get to hear mom's side of the story day after day, week after week, prior to talking to your father on the phone or seeing your father. And we also know that the stats, like Paul mentioned earlier, women file the majority of the divorces. And of course, Dr. Bryant had to add a little, they file more. It happens regardless, okay? I also look at the fact that when you talk about infidelity, because I already know that's coming up, there's this thing where, dad and mom are breaking up because dad cheated. And there's always this narrative that dad cheated. But look up the stats. The ratio, or not the ratio, but the percentage of men and women cheating on each other, the stats are not that far off. They're a few percentages off. So let me give you an example. If men cheat at a 28%, there's a high probability that let me get this right here, that women cheat at a 23%. I don't know how that's fluctuated, but I know the gap is that small. But you always hear about the father making the mistake, the father, and it doesn't make it right. But I'm just saying, for context and for conversation, mom and dad do dirt on each other, but dad pays the price more because he loses that bond with the kids and everything else. So we're gonna keep going with what they're saying. I think this is gonna kind of tie into something else.
23 and 30, them options you had a lot more options. Now at 42, them options then slimmed up. So of course you ain't going nowhere.
That ain't it. Now you know what?
No, that's what you just said.
No, that's not what I said.
In
but
so many
that's not what I
words,
said.
she
But
said, I ain't going nowhere
That's
at
not what I
42.
said. But he's making a good point for some people who get of age.
Yeah, she
Their
wanted to
options
put
can
up with
become
more.
can become slim. But I can say this: it's usually the man who gets up in age, and he realizes that his options have become slim. So now he.
No. Okay. Let me tell you guys something. Don't hate me. Don't run away from the chat because I'm about to say this. One of the many things that I appreciated about Kevin Samuels is stats and statistics. And when I look at with Dr. Bryant, I don't hear a whole lot of stats and statistics. I hear a whole lot of personal anecdotal experiences with clients. The problem that I have with her statement is you're just reversing the narrative it's always been for women. There's always been this conversation and this idea that when women get to a certain age, they only have a certain amount of options and all that other stuff. It can be subjective. I'll be fair enough and unbiased enough to say it could be subjective for men and women. But one of the things that I think she's missing statistically, men reach their peak in career and in finances when they hit their 40s A lot of times when they become billionaires, it's between their mid 40s and early 50s. So we can't just sit up there and say that, oh, age is this. And so when you get to this age, that's what's going to happen. A lot of us men get to that peak financially and in success in our 40s. So to sit up there and say that there are no more options, there's a whole lot of moving parts that go with that. Even for women, there's a whole lot of moving parts that go with that, because if I'm not mistaken, Miss Bryant is 42 and she looks great and things of that nature. But come on, man. That's not been an issue for men like that for a lot of reasons. And one of the reasons that I will say is that a lot of younger women want to date older. You see, even in today's climate, you'll see a lot of younger women not wanting to date men their age because they feel like their age group is immature. If you talk to 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds and even late 30s, they're dating older. Women in their 30s don't mind dating a guy in his mid 40s, and some women in their late 30s and in their early 40s don't mind dating a guy in his 50s. That has no effect on men, especially if you still look great. You know, that's where the whole term zaddy comes from. So I think she's way off, and I'm shocked that she's way off with that one being a therapist, but that's where the zaddy term comes from, being with an older guy. Even the girls in high school, we used to be pissed because the girls in high school wanted to date the college dudes. You a freshman and you at the college parties getting knocked down by a sophomore in college. You see what I'm saying? So I think she's way off with that one.
Wants to marry after he's already created broken homes, broken houses, baby mamas, had multiple kids. Hold on. And he don't got his contract no more. So the money looking a little funny. So he got to make sure that he cashes out while he can and get him the closest thing to what he considers a modern day baddie, who is nowhere in comparison to the old school baddies he used to be able to get when he was in his prime. Now for women.
Hold on. I paused it too early, but I paused it when I needed to pause it. That seemed too detailed and direct. I definitely feel like that description was a target or a dig at Paul Pierce. For the majority of the working men, they don't have contracts. They have jobs, careers, positions, whatever it is that they're doing with their life. So I felt like she was speaking to more of an athlete or entertainer of some sort. And even then she can be wrong, because in this climate, if you got paper, you can find somebody. They may not like you for you, but if you got paper and you got reputation, you can still find someone. The other thing, when she says broken homes, one of the things that's pissed me off about Dr. Bryant and this broken home conversation that she's had, because she had this conversation with Nick Cannon, she had the conversation with Cam Newton, and she was really adamant on saying how, you know, when you leave the home or you don't marry the woman, you don't stay with the one woman, you're creating a broken home. And she was also kind of taking that shot at Paul Pierce, because Paul Pierce has 4 kids, 2 from his marriage and then 2 from the woman after his marriage that he didn't marry. The thing that pisses me off about this conversation, and please leave what you think in the chat. I'm not going to get offended. It's a conversation. This is how you figure out problems, right? The thing that pisses me off about when Dr. Bryant does this is that she never holds any accountability towards the women in the situation. Both parties are guilty of broken homes. We have to stop saying that men create broken homes only. Men and women create broken homes. When you look at Cam Newton and you look at Nick Cannon, there's about roughly 18 women between the two that they've had children with. How in the hell are 2 men responsible for broken homes when they needed those 18 women combined, right, to lay with and have children with? I don't like the fact that she only spins the narrative on men, saying that men create the broken homes. Men and women create broken homes, okay? I'm not going to go too hard on the marriage thing, but that's where she's going. But no, there's both sides are responsible for that. And if we don't acknowledge that and we don't hold both sides accountable, there will always be one side thinking they're always making the right decision when they're clearly not. So let's keep going with what she's saying, because she's about to talk about the women
who are educated, women who are still beautiful, women who are still keeping themselves
That's
up
a good one.
physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. They just get better with time. And
My question about what she said women that get older and they're healed spiritually, they have their career, they're keeping their body up, and all of the things that she just said, right? What's the percentage of those women that are at that age, that are achieving those things, that are doing the work? What's the percentage of women that are doing that? And does she consider herself one of those women? And there's a reason why I'm asking that question, and you'll see later as we keep going.
become a demand, not just only for older men, but for the younger men. And so the women who keep themselves up in that capacity actually become optioned, actually end up having more of abundance of options than they did when they were young.
Okay. Everything that she said is what a lot of older men have been able to do no matter what point in their life they were in. Because when you're dealing with somebody younger than you, you have the wisdom, you have the resources, you have the maturity. If you're actually mature, you have all of those things working in your favor. So she's not saying anything any different than what a lot of older men have the advantage of when it comes to dealing with younger women. Now, here's another thing that I'm going to say. I do think the difference is when it's a guy dealing with an older woman, I think it's really different than when it's an older woman, when it's a guy dealing with an older woman versus a younger woman dealing with an older guy. And this is how I'm going to break it down. When a younger guy is dealing with an older woman, we'll have a tendency to want to impress and show her that we're capable of dealing with her and that we are a man and that we can do all of the stuff that the men are dropping the ball with in her age bracket. There's more pressure, right? We don't want to be considered a youngin' or a kid or immature or whatever the case is. So when a younger guy is dealing with an older woman, a lot of times we want to show that we're capable, right? It's not a fluke, okay? When it's younger women dealing with a older guy, he knows what he's doing. He can kind of get her to be submissive. He can kind of mold her young mind. Not saying that older women can't do that with younger guys, but she's not probably gonna have to do that much work with the younger guy because he's there to try to prove himself. That's one thing about men that I think she's missing when it comes to men and women in these dynamics. We are always trying to prove ourselves to the woman that we want. Always. So if it's a woman that's our age or if it's a woman that we're trying to date older, we're trying to prove that we can get the position, we can get the job, and we can keep the job, and it's not a fluke. So when she's saying that an older woman is desired because she has the mental and all this other stuff, maybe some of these YNs, that do have their stuff together, maybe they are looking for an older woman because of however the women are talking at their age. But come on, let's keep it a stack real quick. Let's keep it a stack. You definitely have to have the looks. Younger guys are not just going to go searching for an older woman unless she has the looks too, because men are very visual. So are women, but you don't see a whole bunch of young dudes running up on Vivica Fox. You don't. And you don't see a whole bunch of young dudes running up on Tracee Ellis Ross. Not to say anything bad about Tracee Ellis Ross, because I think she looks a little bit better than Vivica. But there's reasons for why they running up on Tracee Ellis Ross too, if you know what I mean. So it's not like there's just an abundance of younger guys like that. All right, you do have to. She said the one thing that mattered the most, and that one thing that mattered was looks. These young guys are going to compare you to those young girls. So, whatever. We'll keep going with it, though.
When my clients come to my session talking about divorce, I say, listen, I got a question. Do we really want a divorce, or does this marriage just need to be reshaped? Can we just reprogram it? Can we reshape it? Because everything doesn't need to be divorced and broken and split.
I respect it.
Damn.
Can I ask you something? You talk to married couples, you talk to people in relationships, and you hear the dysfunction in all of it. why do you want to get married and have kids now?
Paul, I love you for that. I know you're serious because that's a good question. No, because,
Because you hear negative all day.
Right.
And like, why?
That's a real question. That's
And
why I
it's a
told
great
you
question.
earlier. I'm confused about myself.
Because I see people come in my office, and because I'm not a tell me more doctor, I'm not a thank you for your money, figure it out, just come back. No, we work in my sessions. We work. And because I see them come in my office so hopeless, so despaired, so broken, so hurt, so confused, so resentful toward each other, right? And then I see them go from
And
that.
this is what you want.
I see them go from that with the right tools.
You got to remember, Paul Pierce is divorced, y'all. So he might be a little anti-married. I've seen some conversations where he's had some very negative things to say about marriage. But I'm gonna keep going.
With the right guidance, with the right support, learn how to love themselves, how to get out of their own way, how to become healthier within themselves, how to identify the little boy and the little girl in them who is actually in that marriage and not the adult in them, and realize, I thought I just loved you, but I actually like you. Now that I know you past your trauma.
Okay. So I feel like I can kind of take over for a minute. We'll get back to Dr. Bryant and what she's saying. And I feel like I can take over for a minute on this one. And the reason why I'm so confident in taking over at this point is because here's my issue when we start getting into this lane of the conversation. Paul Pierce is divorced, so he does have marriage experience. Dr. Bryant has never, ever been married. She's been engaged multiple times. You're going to hear more about what she has going on in her life right now. But here's my thing. I think I can speak on this, and I think I'm more qualified than all three because I have been married and still am married, right? There you go, right? So she was talking about some of the experiences, which I feel like that would be very hard to navigate without ever experiencing marriage. It would be like me training basketball coaches in the NBA, and I've never coached in the NBA. I'm not taking a dig at her. I'm just calling it for what it is when I say this. There are points in a marriage that things get rough and you start to dislike each other and you start to go back and forth. And I'm going to just say this real quick so we can jump back into the video. A lot of times, I think one of the biggest problems in marriage and why they don't work is because the community, right? There's no village. There's no village to check on you guys, especially the people that are married and have kids. There's no village to, even in our community and in our culture, everybody wants to go to a wedding, but nobody wants to contribute to the wedding. Everybody wants you to have kids, but you asking for all this help. You had the kids, you deal with that. You deal with the adversities that the world throw at you, and sometimes you need to lean on the family that you married out of because you're creating your own family to help you keep that family together. So I'll say that, but I just had to jump into there real quick because I know she was going to give her synopsis on her experiences with clients, and there's that.
Let me ask you this: are you okay with a man who already has children? No.
No.
Scoot this joint all the way up. My bad, y'all. My bad.
Damn.
But I didn't do that.
Let me go back. My body. Let me go back. Where we at, y'all?
One.
I see them go from that with the right tools,
Okay.
with the right guidance, with the right support. Learn how to love themselves, how to get out of their own way, how to become healthier within themselves, how to identify the little boy and the little girl in them who is actually in that marriage and not the adult in them, and realize, I thought I just loved you, but I actually like you. Now that I know you past your trauma, now that I know you past the little girl in you who's abandoned and broken that I was in a relationship with.
Let me say this real quick because she makes a good point, but sometimes I wish she would go deeper into the conversation. A lot of times and we've all been guilty of doing it at least once. A lot of times we jump the gun on getting serious with people before getting to know people. I did not realize how important and how much we should value really being friends with the person that you get into a deep relationship with. You got to think about it like this. If you meet somebody and you guys get in a serious relationship in the first year, right? And then 3 years later, you get married. And then 4 years later, or I'm sorry, then another year later, you guys decide to have a kid. That means that you guys have only known each other for 4 years before jumping into a situation where you're having kids and getting married. And I'm not saying that's not enough time. I'm just saying use that time wisely. A lot of times people get in the honeymoon phase, right? And then they think that it's always going to be that way, and it's not. Take it from somebody that is married. It takes work, okay? You should look at marriage like a luxury car. It's expensive. It takes work. You need the right parts. You need to make sure you have the right mechanic working on it. You don't want the wrong person working on it. All of those different things matter in a marriage. And I wish she kind of would go deeper into what the expectations are, because we do. We make that quick decision emotionally because we feel excited, or we're in a rush because, we're racing against time. So I'm going to let her keep cooking.
The first time in 10 years, 15 years, I'm meeting the man in you. See, the little boy in you couldn't cover me, but the man in you can learn how. The little boy in you kept calling on me to be your mama, to atone for the things you didn't get from her. I'm here to be your woman. And every time I came mommy you mad at me. Mm-hmm. You resentful toward me.
Ooh, damn.
But I didn't do that. I'm just here to love you. You can cry on my shoulder, but I can't mommy you. So I had to tell my client, literally 2 days ago, I had to say, listen, the reason why you're saying this woman doesn't have the capacity to do the things that you want is because you want her to mommy you. You got two options, bruh. You either go back and try to get it from where you didn't get it from, good luck, or you surrender and you realize, I'm never gonna get it.
That, I don't know about y'all, but to me that sounded hella toxic a little bit, like you're never gonna get something. But let's go back to the whole mama thing. She made a blanket statement, but she didn't give details and examples of how men or that man is looking for his woman to be his mama, right? We need more context to what she's saying, because we don't know if that person that's looking for those things, if that woman just looks at it as being his mama, when in fact he should be asking those things from his wife. I'll give you an example. There's some women that are proud that they don't cook, right? Go ask your mama to cook. I'm not cooking for you. Go ask your mama to wash your clothes. I'm not washing your clothes for you. Well, newsflash, my mom stopped washing my clothes for me in elementary school because I was taught how to wash my own clothes and iron. And so when I look at that type of stuff, right, when she says that a man shouldn't be looking for his mother in his woman, I need more context in what she's saying, because that could be subjective. There are women that think certain parts of serving her man is a motherly trait rather than a wife trait and don't know the difference. So I wish you would give more context. I can't really debate with the blanket statement, but I would like more context, because I don't know. That's real subjective on what women think your mother should do for you versus what she should do for you. Let's keep rocking.
Yeah,
so I got to heal that little boy in me, and I got to move forward without getting it. And I got to figure out how I'm going to supply that for myself, Paul, because I told him the reason why this woman doesn't have the capacity is because if she did, God knew she would enable that little boy in you. But her not having it is dissipating your anxious attachment and your codependency. And God has to strip you of what he doesn't no longer.
You know what I think is interesting about what she's saying? And this is just in my own personal experience, right? She's saying the mom. Again, we need more context. And I'm going to tell you why. I have a handful of friends that were raised with their father. It doesn't mean they didn't have a absent relationship with their mother, but they were raised with their father. So they may have wanted that motherly relationship, right? Because they were raised with their father, which a lot of my friends that I'm speaking on did. They did want that relationship with their mom, but I didn't see them as somebody that was always looking for their girl to be their mom because they were raised with their father. And when you're raised with a father, when you're raised with men in your life, you man up. A lot of times our damage really comes from not being able to express ourselves. So I think it's very interesting that she's playing it from a position of a man that sounds really sensitive or really wants this motherly feeling from his woman, because those of us that have dads and uncles and older brothers, we were always told to man up and wipe them tears away and rub some dirt on it if it hurts, things like that. So that one threw me off a little bit. I think she's talking about isolated experiences rather than the general consensus of things, and that's how I see that. I don't know about that one.
Need you to have if it doesn't serve you.
I mean, this is the thing. I hear you, Doc, but like, as a man, like when you telling them,
yeah,
the lady that he wants you to mommy him, that's your first example.
Yes, it is.
Which
growing
one?
up,
Mom?
your mom,
Yeah.
of how
Yeah.
to be treated,
Come on.
To be loved.
Come on.
Yeah.
to how to be loved.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't he want that?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
100%. 100%.
And then y'all call y'all man daddy. So what we talking about here?
100%. Yeah.
Like, so don't
I'm
try to
crying.
convince him to not want that mommy feel. Like, that's the first form of love as a boy you feel. So like, don't discourage that. You know, I feel like that should be more encouraged. Like a man wants that. Yeah. This is the first form and the purest form of love that you ever gonna get you ever gonna get.
For sure.
A woman gonna come be your girlfriend, your wife, and leave you.
I think when he said purest form, I agree, but I think a better word would the unconditional. Like, your mother is gonna love you unconditionally more than anyone. She birthed you. She gave you life. She taught you how to live, for your first X amount of years, right? So I definitely agree with Paul Pierce on that one. And that's a great example of, like, why would you not want to see that type of love and support through your woman? A lot of people don't realize they do marry their parents, by the way. And I don't mean like literally. The behavior. You look at the behavior of your father and your mother, and because you're familiar with it, subconsciously you're familiar with it, and you don't realize that that's the direction you're going. And people do have a tendency to marry their parents. In as far as in the way that their woman behaves, you can see that your mom and your woman share similarities, or your husband and your father share some kind of similarities if you had those people in your life. So yeah, let's see where this goes, because I like this right here.
Most black moms, as a black man growing up here, that's the purest form of love. So like,
that's the purest form of love
that I ever had.
If it
It's
was
from my
healthy.
mom.
This is what be pissing me. This is what be pissing me off about Dr. Bryant sometimes. There can always be an if, right? You can say marriage is beautiful if it's not toxic. Having a great job is amazing, especially if you make a lot of money, if you love to do what you can throw an if in front of anything. And so I felt like she wasn't really winning that exchange, because he was basically calling her out, saying, yo, that why is that a bad thing? And he was explaining why that can be a good thing. And then she moved the goalpost and started talking about toxicity, if the relationship is healthy or not. That wasn't the conversation, Dr. Bryant. Come on now, professional therapist. We can't move the goalpost, and we can't say, oh, we can throw if in front of anything, right? We can throw if and what if in front of anything. He's simply responding to you saying that you got to man up, or I shouldn't say man up, but you can't be looking for your mother through your woman. And he said that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you learn love from your mother, and then it's, well, if the love is not toxic or if it's healthy. So stop moving the goalposts. Come on now.
Yeah.
What's your situation right now?
I like this. Let's see what she's talking about and what she got going on. Let's see what she's talking about.
What you mean situation?
Like,
Happy?
You got a man?
I'm dating. I'm single, but I'm dating.
Single but dating?
I am
Something serious
dating.
more than other?
Well, yeah, we know you're not married.
No, just dating.
We gotta change because she's therapying us.
Yeah.
We gotta make this about her now.
right. You got to therapizing us.
Paul's like, I want my woman to mommy me.
Hold on, like, hold on, what's going on with you? This is about you. You done flipped the script on us. We over here.
Verse uno.
Man, you sure did.
But it was good. It was insightful.
No, we need to find out about what's going on with her. She dating, single.
dating.
What do that entail for a 42-year-old?
I am dating.
Dating but single.
Enjoying my life. I have really good companions.
How many do you dating right now?
I'm not exclusively.
She's dating and she has a couple companions. Now, remember that broken home conversation she kept talking about, right? With the athlete losing the contract and having a whole bunch of broken homes, and Nick Cannon and Cam Newton creating broken homes. How do you think broken homes start? They start by casually dating and sleeping around and having companions. You can use whatever words that you want to use, but we know what's going on, because if you're serious about somebody that you want to deal with, you're courting them. You're courting. You and that person are exclusively courting, and you're trying to make your way to marriage. So let's see what you got.
Committed to anyone, but I have one guy that I have dated
she's
off and
stuttering
on
now.
for
We got
5
her.
years.
We got her.
We've dated for 5 years off and
So
on.
you was his work for 5 years? You been his work? You still his work?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know what's going on now. I'm about to. We gonna.
I mean, he's calling it out. He's asking the questions. Let's see what the answers are, because that's how you worded it, Dr. Brian. You said you got a special person that you deal with, and you got a couple people that are companions. What's up?
Take this sheep clothing off.
I am right. The wolf teeth coming out. No,
He was somebody's work for 5 years.
we have been each other's companion for 5 years, and I have spent the block for 5 years, and I.
Ladies, let me ask you something. For you ladies that are listening in the chat, I appreciate you. You said the volume is super low. Let me turn it up for y'all. I got you. Let me ask you something, ladies. When you guys are dealing with a guy, do you look at him as a companion? And when you're dealing with a guy that you're not exclusive with, would you want him to label you as a companion? Let me hear that in the chat. Do you agree the word? Because I feel like she kind of dancing around the conversation and using different words.
It's the truth, and he doesn't like it. He's absolutely correct. He feels like I haven't provided.
Oh, your work.
We working together. Okay. We working together.
But you keeping him at bay. Or is he keeping you at bay?
He wants a relationship. He wants to be committed.
You just like the sex.
No.
Oh.
Let's keep it 100. How you keep somebody for 5 years? That's like for real. You can't keep nobody at a distance for.
That's a good point. She said that she's been dating here and there, but she's been dealing with a guy on and off for 5 years. Now, you also if you didn't see this full interview, she talked about being in multiple engagements. So she's been in multiple engagements. She's been dealing with this guy on and off for 5 years, and she took her birth control out because she plans on having a baby. She's depending on the universe for her to have a baby within a year. This is everything she said in this interview. I just want y'all to know that. So I'm gonna keep going.
5 years. I ain't never done no shit like that.
I am not vitamin D deficient.
No,
everything is good in that department.
No.
He wants a relationship.
She done kept him on the side until she figured out if it's something better. I see where this is going.
He just has some emotional maturity that he had to do. We're 9 years apart. He's 9 years younger than me. And so.
Ladies, let me ask you this question, all right? Would you accept a man telling you that the reason why he won't get in a serious relationship with you or marry you because you have some emotional things you need to work on, or let's just say some financial things you need to work on? Is that acceptable? That's her reason for why she's not serious with the guy. So I want to know from you guys, would that be acceptable for you? Go ahead and throw that in the chat. Let me know what you think about that.
We both had to work through things, but he's had to work on his emotions and his intense insecurities around being in a relationship.
And you've been waiting on it. Like what's the problem? Why y'all not together?
Just because of that,
So you waiting on that?
No, I'm not waiting on it. And I don't have him waiting.
That doesn't make any sense. If you've been dealing with somebody on and off, and how are you not waiting on somebody to change if you've been dealing with them on and off, and the reason why you won't go to the next level is because they got things that they need to work on? That's number one. And number two, they've been working on this for 5 years? So both of you guys are wasting time and playing. That's what it sounds like to me. What does it sound like to y'all?
So the D is good.
Oh,
let's keep it. I mean, that's it's like, dude. Let's keep it 100.
He put on his red pajamas and feel like he's supposed to get spicy tonight.
This is clear.
Oh my God!
I know her. She from Long Beach. Don't try to come
you
with the suit jacket, the boots. You still and the glow.
You know what I mean?
You still from Long Beach.
I'm
from Inglewood. I can see that.
I am from San Pedro, a small community in the city of Los Angeles.
I can see through all of that.
Yes, he has great qualities. He does well in all that he does with me. He just emotionally
That ain't what I asked you. I asked you about his job and all that.
He does well in all areas.
Okay, she answered that. He does well in all
emotionally.
areas.
Well, I don't know. That's a broad question. What all
Paul,
areas?
You're a man, so you answer this question.
I answered.
Emotionally, he goes back and forth from I love you, I want to be with you, I'm mad because you won't be with me, you won't commit to me. And then his insecurities get the best of him. And it's like, I want you, but I'm not sure if I deserve you. I'm not sure that I can facilitate you. I'm not sure that I can be with you. So when I say emotionally instability.
It's a whole lot of talking. Look, I got a very, very close brother of mine that told me many years ago, when you're dealing with somebody, right? And I think I probably might have been in my feelings about something, or I was going to be petty about something, right? And he said, hey, dog, you just need to remember, you dealing with a grown-ass woman, dog. Don't play with no grown-ass woman. And I could tell by the conviction in his voice that he was dead serious. And I would have the same sentiment with her. You playing with a grown-ass woman, or are you playing with a grown-ass man, Dr. Bryant? And so what I'm seeing is she's not doing anything any different than when a guy is stringing a woman along, wishing and hoping that one day he'll marry her. And she has that leverage right now. This dude obviously wants to be with her. Obviously, they're dealing with each other, going back and forth. It doesn't really sound like he's controlling the dynamic of the relationship. But she has more details, and she hasn't said anything about what she needs to work on or what she needs to change, which is a red flag to me. Because I would think that if you want your relationship to go to the next level, yeah, there's probably one person that needs to do more work, but there's always work for you to do. And take it from somebody that's been married for almost 10 years, okay? Both sides always have work, and she's not saying anything about what she needs to work on. It's only him, and that's very interesting coming from a professional therapist, that it's just one-sided. There's always work to be done on both sides.
It's like him wanting to be with me is concrete. That's not unstable. His emotions in the relationship are just unstable, to where as a man, you gotta get vertical within yourself before you can be in a relationship.
You good with these words.
I am.
You good with these words.
Listen,
because
but
you
let me say
all
this.
These people advice.
Let me say this, Paul.
He
He has every right to feel like what I've been doing as far as being in a relationship with him when I want to is not something that gives him stability.
No, has every right to feel like you're doing him wrong. You're trying to explain it to a way where you're not at fault. I'm noticing that she's using so many words and taking so long to land her plane because she's trying to explain it into a way where she's not at fault, but he's still right. That's what I got from what she's trying to do.
However, I don't want to commit to a relationship with a man who I feel emotionally is not in a place of being able to be in a healthy relationship.
So why are you messing with him? Why are you playing mental games with him?
I'm not playing mental games with him.
Games.
It's not mental games.
Why
It's
you
all
still-
You're a psychologist. Everything that you said is mental. Emotions are mental, right? And I get that, ladies. Listen, I understand that there are men out there that are emotionally unstable, and there's women out there that are emotionally unstable. I understand that men have things that they need to work on, but what I think is interesting, right, is that I don't hear too many women say that, right? A lot of times it's your career, it's you are how responsible are you. You're not going to get it all at one time. And I feel like that's what my issue is with what the direction she's going and what she's trying to explain about her situation is she's trying to have it all at once. No, you get the things that you know you need from that person, and you also say, hey, you know what? The things that you need to work on, I think we can work on those things together. But you don't just pass up on not marrying somebody because they have some emotional things here and there they need to work on, but they check every box. It doesn't work like that. When me and my wife got married, there was shit she needed to work on, and there was shit that I needed to work on. But it wasn't that big to where it's like, nah, we have to wait on starting our life together. This is the problem with dating around, sleeping around, and having companions and having comrades and doing things without condoms and stuff like that. And then we talk about the broken home situation, right? So she's dancing around it, but she's sounding crazy as far as in what she's preaching versus how she's moving.
Parenting.
Why is it still sex involved?
How do you know we sexing? We could just...
Most women would answer that question. So it's wild that Paul Pierce is asking that question. If you're not ready to commit to that man and you see that he has things that he needs to work on and you're a therapist, why is sex involved? And now she's saying, how do you know that sex is involved? You know how we know sex is involved, Dr. Bryant? Because you didn't say there's no sex involved. That's all you have to do. When the answer is no, it's just no, right? All she had to do is be like, there's no sex involved. We're actively talking about this and growing and this, that, and the other. So she already told on herself right there, there's sex involved. So now the very thing that a lot of women go through, you're literally doing with the guy that wants to settle down with you. Women do not want to have pointless sex. They don't want to do all of these things like they're in a relationship, but deep down inside, when they get dropped off at home, they know they're not in a relationship, but she just had this fun day or this fun trip, like she really had a man for a week. No woman wants to go through that, but yet you're kind of displaying that very thing that women don't want to go through. It's kind of a masculine trait, Dr. Bryant, but we'll keep going.
Having a
Because you from Long Beach, I know.
Oh my God.
You can't play me.
We
I'm
could
from
not be doing
from
the
wood.
do.
I know what's going on.
But let me say this. It is transparent. He understands. I understand. I understand what he wants.
Did y'all catch that? She said it's full transparency. A lot of women know the full transparency in what the dynamic is with the guy that she really wants to be with. It doesn't mean that she's okay with it. She might be settling with it, unfortunately. But just because somebody knows full transparency does not absolve you of your responsibility to just leave them alone and let them move on with their life because you realize that they're in a place that you're not in yet. So I'll leave that there.
Understands why I don't want to commit at this moment with him, which is the emotional piece that him and I talk about openly. I support him in it. I hold space for him in it. We've talked about it intensively, and he understands it. And he's...
Come here.
That's
Sit. All right, let him off the leash. Go ahead.
That's what I'm doing?
Yeah, that's exactly
Oh,
right.
shit.
Come here.
Well, you
Sit.
know what? If that's what I'm doing, I'll say this, and people are going to be mad, and I'm okay. If I'm doing what Paul said,
Come here.
I'd much rather be the one walking you at the dog park than the one on the leash. If
Boom. There it is. It took her that long to just explain. You see how she kept explaining the whole time, and it's this and it's that, and there's an understanding. The bottom line is Dr. Bryant is able to do something that Kevin Samuels talked about a lot of financially set men were doing, which was exercising his options. She's not doing anything any different. She's exercising her options. She's stringing him along to see, you know what, if this is going to be the person I'm going to just have to settle with, because I might run into something better. Because and this is why I came to this conclusion. And for you guys that have just came into the chat, I'll explain to you why she's just exercising options and she's not really serious. Earlier in this conversation and in this podcast, she said that she's speaking it into existence that she's going to be a mother this year. So she took her birth control out. Dr. Bryant right here. She took her birth control out because she plans on being a mom, but she doesn't plan on being, I guess, a baby mom. So she wants to be married. She's actively dating, but has somebody exclusive that she's dealing with on and off for 5 years, but won't go over the hump with this person because he has emotional issues. So who are you going to have this baby with? Who are you going to start this life with if the guy that you've spent the most time with, you're not ready to deal with him and everybody else is just kind of companions? And you're having sex, which men and women both know sex complicates things more when you're not in a relationship or you're not moving towards a deeper commitment. This is Dr. Bryant.
That's true.
Lene.
Okay. So let me move. But we're gonna get on Dr. Umar in a minute. Let me know what you think about this. I'm gonna be honest. I want to know what the ladies have to say. I already know what some of y'all fellas are saying that's watching this. I would love to know what the ladies have to say about this. Do you agree with the way that she is moving versus what she's telling people to do? To me, the only difference between her, Cam Newton, and Nick Cannon, and who else got a bunch of kids? Future. The only difference between all of them and Dr. Bryant is they have kids and she doesn't, because she's still juggling, dealing with different men and stringing one along that really wants to commit to her. I'm sorry, but when a woman doesn't really want to commit to you like that, there's a lot of deeper reasons than you just working on yourself. A lot of things don't even have to do with you. It has to do with if she finds you as the person she wants to deal with for her own personal boxes that she wants to check off. And the reason why I say that is because most women want to get married, want to have a family, want to, Christmas pictures and first day of school and, packing lunches for a husband, whatever it is that, people desire in a marriage. Most women do want that. And you're kind of toying with the idea with somebody that wants to do that with you because his emotions that you could help him with because you're a professional, you're a therapist. I don't know. I think she's playing with his head like Paul Pierce said. I really do. Leave comments in the chat. I want to know what you think about this. I really do. We're going to get into this next piece. Dr. Umar, man. Yo, this dude, I wish Dr. Umar was in the news because the school was done or whatever the case is, but I want y'all to take a look at this, all right? In my Kevin Hart voice, somebody come look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Walking you at the dog park than the one on the leash, if that's true.
Lene Stacks. Siobhan Stone, Lene Stacks, throat goat.
Yo, when do y'all hear Dr. Umar just go in like that? He talking about throw. What happened to the black community, black sister, cocoa butter? What's going on, man?
Hood rat, jump off.
The black queens that he always talks about that we disrespect. Now he's calling whoever he's talking about throat goat, hood rat, built like a Gatorade bottle. He going in. Dr. Umar got to be pissed. And he ain't even repeating himself. So he mad because he ain't repeating himself.
Fishy coochie. Fishy coochie. The queen of fishy coochie. I believe she may have taken information regarding the bank account of FDMG and my personal. I discussed this with the attorneys. The attorneys told me that it...
Let me tell you why you just got to be careful who you listen to and who be in these interviews. He just drug a woman and called her every name in the book that might have access to the account that is funding the school he's been building for 100 years and his own personal account. How did this woman get this information, number one? And number two, you just got done being on a podcast talking about how Tyler Perry and Shannon Sharpe are not protecting their assets, their money, and their image. And then a couple weeks later, you're in the same situation. At least those people that are suing Shannon Sharpe and Tyler Perry don't have access to their account information and their personal information regarding their parents or their mother. Umar, what's up, bro? What are you doing?
Be in my advantage if Siobhan Stone, Throat Goat, or Pastor Bussy tries to access my personal account or the school's account, because that is a federal crime. I saw her privately 3 times inside of the same Philadelphia hotel after hours for no more.
You know, for somebody that promotes the queen, the black woman is queen, and black men disrespect black women and black queens, I think it's interesting that you have time to pull aside a throat goat and a hood rat and all of these different things instead of just making that woman your queen. Why not take the black women that you love so much and make an honest woman out of her? And now you have a partner to help you finish your school and promote your message. Which one is it, big dog? Because I got to call it out. You can't get mad at somebody that you want to get nasty with, and then they want to get nasty with you in a different way. It just happens to be financial, big dog. And then you'll sit up here and say you don't like brothers that are messing with snow bunnies and stuff like that when they can get them a sister. But bro, when you get you a sister, that's not your main sister. You just messing with her until you find another sister. And now she's every name in the book. You met with her a few occasions, man, but she wasn't Badussy and throat goat and all of these different negative things that you're saying about her now when you was meeting up with her, homie. We know we got to pull that card, Umar. We got to pull that card, bro.
Then 2 or 3 hours, this young lady told me that she would not mind coming to care for my mother.
So you got a thoughtcicle to care for you. Look, y'all, just get married, man. If you need somebody to really be there for your mom because you're hustling, working, trying to make things happen, just get married. All of it. Yo, I don't know what's worse. You saying that black women are queens, and then because you have a bad encounter with one that you're just sleeping with in hotels, she's not a queen. She don't have her crown. I don't know if that's worse because you're contradicting the message that you perpetuate about black women, or the fact that you would allow a woman that you call a throat goat and a stinky badussy look after your mom. This got to be AI. There's no way that this is really Dr. Umar saying this. This has to be AI. The contradiction in these doctors, Dr. Umar, Dr. Bryant, Dr. Seuss, everybody is just contradicting themselves and lying in this content that I'm reacting to. Please let me know what you think, man. Chat, don't be shy. Tell me what's going on right now.
I assured her that I would pay her, and I did pay her. And this is going to be important when I bring up the...
If y'all mess around like that, why do you have to pay her unless you paying her for messing around and you just trying to mask it with looking out for your mom because you don't want nobody to know you out here paying for cheeks? Why would you have to pay a woman that you're intimate with to look out for your mother if you guys trust each other with each other's body? That ain't weird, y'all. And why would you find somebody that you only messed with a few times in some hotels that stank to look after your mother? We just watched the podcast where we talked about our moms as our first love. This is not how you treat your first love, man. You wilding out, Umar. You wilding out.
Attorney in a minute, because I consulted with an attorney in Kansas City who told me that if I can prove that I paid her to care for my mother, then she can be charged with HIPAA violations for discussing my mother's personal sensitive medical information with
And we are going to charge you for fraud, bro. You can't be out here bashing brothers saying that black women are in the positions that we're in because of how they're in because we treat them a certain type of way when you're doing that with these sisters. You're better off rejecting whatever pleasure she was offering you than messing with her if that's the type of woman she is. You're just perpetuating the narrative that you're speaking against. That's crazy. I don't know. I think Dr. Umar has been cloned or this is AI because there's no way. There's no way that he's even making this video after all of this shit he's been talking about black men and how he's been pedestalizing the sisters, but never made an honest woman out of one of them for his own personal experience. I don't know.
without permission. I want to apologize to all black women that I had to divulge so much of my personal, intimate details, Sister Stacy, but I got a woman who's trying to destroy my life.
All right, y'all. Before we get out of here, man, look, Umar is on one right now, okay? Here's what's cold about the apology. He apologized for putting his business out there, not apologizing for talking about one of the queens that he's defending every week against black men. I think it's unfortunate that he's in that scenario as far as his mother, but big dog, you put yourself in that scenario. You put your mom at risk. How much do you love your mother if you're gonna put her at risk with some little thoughtcicle that you was messing with a couple times in a hotel? Umar, what are you doing? You're a doctor, right? You're building a school. You're trying to change the narrative. Black women are already sexualized all the time, and then you decided you need to get you a little Yo, you can't make this up, man. Dr. Umar, bro, you are damaging your reputation, man. That's all I'm going to say about that. Before we get out of here, I just wanted to take a cool little minute because Dr. Umar did speak on this, brother, and I thought it was interesting. For you guys that don't know, what's today? Today's the 12th, right? So I think on the 9th, they were supposed to start trial or they're supposed to have a hearing for the Shannon Sharpe case because we all know that he's been dealing with the little white girl and stuff like that wants to sue him. The plaintiff didn't show up, y'all. Tony Busby and the woman didn't show up. One of the representatives on the team showed up, but they didn't show up, and only one of Shannon Sharpe's lawyers showed up for the hearing, and they asked for a 45-day extension. The judge was actually willing to give them more days. So what this means, guys, is that what's going to happen is probably they're working on a settlement. They're working on a settlement. So we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. We'll see what's gonna move with the Shannon Sharpe situation. But yeah, as far as Dr. Umar, man, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. This is weird. This is it's all weird to me, man. Anyways, I'm finna go ahead and I'm finna get out of here. I appreciate you guys in the chat. For those that said something about the volume, yo, I appreciate you. I was dealing with some stuff. I was supposed to start way earlier, and the equipment was getting a little wild with me. I'll make sure that the audio was good. I got a lot more stuff I got to figure out with this stuff. This is only the third stream of the Notion podcast, but it will be better. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. But I'm finna go ahead and I'm finna get out of here. For those that are here for the first time on the Notion podcast, please subscribe to the channel because I plan on doing these lives with me and the rest of my co-hosts on a regular basis, at least once a week starting out. And check out the other episodes we got. Anyways, I'm finna get out of here. Thanks for tuning in to the Notion podcast. Until next time, peace.